Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Today's topic is going to be why and when to drop the medical diagnosis. All right, this should be a fun one. So, relax your body, slow down your breath, get into a nice, comfortable, relaxed state. So why and when to drop the medical diagnosis? So if you're new to my channel, I talk all the time about what I call a perceived danger response, meaning pain or other symptoms, also referred to as TMS by the great Dr. Sarno. Tension myositis syndrome, later termed the mind-body syndrome. Basically, it's the concept that the brain is creating the symptoms, not a flaw in the body, right? So you probably know that if you've watched me before, but that's the overall concept. If that seems foreign, please understand I am not telling you your symptoms and pain are all in your head. They are not. Pain and symptoms are very, very real. They're just not created by what you've been led to believe by the doctors and the media and the internet and all that stuff. So, why and when you should drop the diagnosis? Many of us have been given a diagnosis, a reason for our symptoms or pains. And we've got all sorts of crazy medical labels that have been assigned to us. And we can accumulate those labels. Many people have many diagnoses. And so it's very common for us to, over time, with the amount of fear and the research and the medicalization, which is traumatization by the medical system, all of these nocebos that say, this is your diagnosis and here's your prognosis. And in many cases, not very good, because the medical system is extremely good at pointing out, here's what's wrong. But they're not as good with chronic symptoms. They're not as good with coming up with a solution. In most cases, we find that the medical system is not coming up with adequate solutions. And the primary reason for that is they always look to the body as the cause. Most often, the doctors are not even aware of or practicing in a way that would ask you, well, what else is going on in your life? Are you particularly stressed out? Have you had any recent traumatic experiences? What's going on with you besides the fact that you've got X, Y, and Z pain or symptom? Right? They just don't do that. And unfortunately, most of them don't have time to, because they book appointments like 5 minutes apart from each other to squeeze as many in as they can. So this is not a video to bash on the medical institutions. It's just that the mind-body issues, these symptoms, they're truly not a medical problem. We have symptoms in the body, but it's not really a medical problem. I believe it's a misinformation problem, right? I think your brain and nervous system and body is working as it's designed to, but it's operating on misinformation and fear. The goal of everything I teach on a daily basis is to help clarify and correct that misinformation so that we can use that accurate knowledge to bring down the fear, right? And with accurate knowledge and less fear, oftentimes symptoms can fade away, and they often do. So why and when to drop the medical label, the diagnosis? Well, the why is because if it's a misdiagnosis, continuing to use that diagnosis to describe your experience is going to perpetuate your brain's perception that you have a body problem, right? your body is flawed in some way, shape, or form, and that's why you have all these symptoms. So that's the why, because in most cases of chronic symptoms, these are just medical labels that they slap on you because they have to put something in the chart, but they are misdiagnoses because they don't understand the true origin, the root cause, which is a brain perceiving danger. So that's the why. When should you drop the medical diagnosis? Once you've ruled in the mind-body cause of your pain or symptoms. So let's be very, very clear. There are real, legitimate illnesses, real, legitimate injuries of the body. But in the case of chronic symptoms, it's usually not the case. So the way to deal with this is to, obviously, rule out anything life-threatening. Hey, doc, anything imminent I need to worry about? It's a real good question. Is there anything imminent that I need to worry about, like right now? Cancers, tumors, infections. If there was a recent fall or accident, hey, doc, can we rule out fractures to make sure I didn't break anything when I fell down the steps, for example, or fell off my bike, for example? So we rule out imminent medical intervention needs, right? Once we've done that, we can rule in this perceived danger response, what I call perceived danger pain or symptoms. Dr. Sarno called TMS. We rule it in. And if you go to isthispdp.com, there are two assessments there. One is the pain test. One is the FIT assessment. Frankly, if you're going to do one, go through the FIT assessment. It is right there on that page, isthispdp.com. It's like 19 bullet points. And for each symptom that you would like to identify its cause, answer those questions. Won't take you long, a few minutes. And note how many true answers you've got. If you've got one or more true answer, then your brain is creating the symptoms based on the perception of danger. And so you can do that for the symptoms that you're dealing with. Once you have done that, that is when you should drop the medical diagnosis, because what you've just proven by ruling out anything imminently urgent, life-threatening, and then ruling in the mind-body aspect, the perceived danger response, what you've done is you've disproven the medical diagnosis. That is an incorrect diagnosis. And that is when you should disregard that diagnosis and say, that's what the doctors call this stuff, but they don't know the cause. The root cause is my brain perceiving danger, and therefore I'm going to call it a mind-body condition, which is caused by a brain perceiving danger. It is my job to stop using a medical diagnosis, which just perpetuates the fear, perpetuates this belief that I'm broken, and start to call it TMS, perceived danger, pain, or symptoms, a mind-body condition, brain-created symptoms, whatever you want to call it, except for the medical label. Because again, the medical label, not only does it keep you convinced that your body's the problem, but if that medical label has a whole bunch of, I'll say, fear surrounding it in the internet in the internet world, if there are big communities of people who have this diagnosis, and those communities are very fearful of the problem they've got with their body, the faster you can disconnect from that world and label it as, that was a misdiagnosis, so I don't have to carry that around with me anymore. So the why and the when all factors into, am I really broken? Why is because you want to disconnect from that world of diagnosis and all of the misinformation surrounding it. The when is as soon as you've ruled out life-threatening and ruled in the mind-body reason for your symptoms. So, do the assessments. isthispdp.com. And if it says it is, one or more true answers on the 15 or 19 FIT questions, that is when it is an appropriate time to stop using the medical diagnosis, right? Because I get emails and messages from people, and it's like paragraphs worth of, I have this sensation and this diagnosis, this sensation, that diagnosis. Diagnosis, diagnosis, diagnosis. Is this TMS? Is this perceived danger pain? The diagnosis doesn't matter. How the symptoms behave is really what counts. So that's why it's so important. And again, the reason why we want to stop using the medical diagnosis is because if it's a misdiagnosis, why would you want to do it? Same thing with mental health stuff. I know mental health is not evaluated in this FIT assessment, but even mental health labels and diagnoses can kind of pigeonhole you into believing, I got a mental health problem. I'm broken in some way, shape, or form. I don't like those either. So I think a lot, not all, a lot of mental health issues are also created by a brain perceiving danger, right? So hopefully this made sense to you. The why and the how, no, the why and the when to discontinue using medical labels or diagnoses. Really important to look at that. And the sooner you can legitimately say, I am not broken physically, therefore that is a misdiagnosis and I will no longer identify as that. The sooner you can do that and do it with confidence because you've gone through the assessments and you understand how the symptoms or the system works, the sooner you can disengage from those diagnoses, the sooner you're going to be able to start to teach your misinformed, fearful brain that you're actually okay. And hanging on to these old diagnoses isn't really helpful in that process. So I hope this makes sense. Comment below. What did you get out of this video? If you think somebody else can benefit by it, please share it. If you're not yet a subscriber on YouTube, hit the red button to subscribe. And if you'd like some one-on-one help in a group format, but it is still one-on-one, we do talk directly, join the group program. painfreeugroup.com. I run 4 Zoom sessions a week where you can get direct access to me and be a part of a community where everybody's working on implementing these concepts together. You don't have to do it alone. So I love you all, and as always, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.